Hello, you all. I just want to thank you for joining to the channel. Today, I want to talk about, first of all, I'm going to talk about why I took the content off of the channel for a while. And then I want to talk about my status right now during Christmas and what Christmas has meant and just kind of what I'm dealing with emotionally and mentally. Well, first of all, I took the stuff off of the channel because I was angry. And I'd been angry for a while. And I'd gone through some things in 2024, at the beginning of 2024, and 2023 that had built up. And I was angry, but didn't realize I was angry because I have been taught well how to hide things. And that's really not scriptural. You need to deal with things because good Christian people don't talk about things and don't deal with things. That was the impression that I got. Or you deal with it to where you're just fine and you can just continue to allow bad things happen to you and you just keep forgiving. Well, that was the impression that I have gotten from watching Christians a lot. And the ones that seem to be saints are the ones that just take abuse and just take accusations and let people just think wrongly of them and never say a word. Well, I've learned since then, just as I've grown up, that that's not true. So now when I get angry, I deal with it. And sometimes it takes me a little longer to deal with it. And I've had some things happen, you all, that have made me very angry. And I was at the point to where I felt boxed in. I felt like things were out of my control. Things were worse. I have been believing God since I got diagnosed that things would get better and better and better. And I've been sustained by the Lord. Do not get me wrong. I'm very grateful for that. But I have been, I've gone through a lot of things. And yeah, and just a lot of mental stuff. And so I had to get quiet for a long time just to see if maybe God didn't want me to do this anymore, and talk about this stuff in real time and how I was feeling. And I got to the point where I didn't think I was being very authentic, trying to be liked by people around me. And when I say that, I don't mean that in a mean way. I mean just people tuning in. I didn't want them to have a negative feeling of me because of what I was going through. But it is what I'm going through, you all. And so I got quiet and let God reaffirm this is what I needed to do. I dealt with all that anger and gave it to the Lord. But I am in a much better place mentally and emotionally, even though I still am in pain and I still feel certain things about the way some things have happened. I have now learned how to deal with it at this level of pain and this level of disappointment in my life. So anyway, so that's why I did it. So I'm back. But I wanted to talk about Christmas and talk about worth and talk about how when things don't go the way you've been praying for them to go, how it is easy to think that you're less than, because it's the message that can either be conveyed, whether it's intentional or unintentional. So anyway, first of all, Christmas has been difficult since I was diagnosed. It was difficult as a single mom anyway, but getting diagnosed made it harder because I, that first Christmas after I got diagnosed, I was going through chemo. And it was a Christmas that my son had just graduated from A&M on the 15th of December of 2015. But we walked into that semester with 3 kids in college, one going to college, one in the middle of college, and one finishing college. And I had just started chemo and in October. And Thanksgiving was hard because I was weak, but not as weak as I was in December, because if you know anything about chemo, it builds up over time. And so in order to even go to my son's graduation, we had to move that chemo that I was supposed to have that Monday of the December 15th to the next Monday so I could go to his graduation, because the first 2 weeks after I would have the chemo, it was every 3 weeks, I would be really weak. And then that third week I would have a little bit more energy. Well, this gave me an extra week. And so I was able to do it, and I ended up even doing all the food for it. And we had the party in College Station at, the house he was staying in. And so it turned out really good. But the next Monday, I had chemo. And that meant Christmas, I was really weak. So that Christmas, I didn't have our Christmas. We had Thanksgiving, but I didn't have our Christmas. I was too weak to do it. And I feel like I made the mistake of going to a friend's house, and I didn't drive. And when it got uncomfortable for me, I didn't have a way out. So I learned something in this situation that I'm in, to never box myself into a situation that I cannot get out of, because I don't know how my body's going to respond to certain things. My body responds to stress differently, to where I get really sick. And I can feel it in my body, and it affects my digestive tract to where I just feel ill. And so stress that I cannot do anything with, or just it comes on me suddenly, or it's consistent, I've noticed it affects my body. So I learned something that first Christmas. So anyway, so the second Christmas, because I had quit Red Lobster and I was working at Magnolia, making way less money than I had been making. And that first Christmas, I didn't know how we were going to do it, how I was going to be able to get gifts. But I remember one of the guys at Magnolia, he had won a contest. They had a talent show. He won first prize. And him and his wife were doing well. So the Lord told him to help out the single moms in the bakery. And I was working at that time. I think I was about to becoming the trainer of the front of house, writing curriculum, helping with orientation for the bakery. And so, but he split the money between us single moms. And that was such a blessing, because I think it was like $700 to now help with Christmas, which was a blessing. And then after that, it's been a struggle every year. I just never know what's going to happen. I remember I think it was the next Christmas is when I started doing like delivery services, because I couldn't work full time, or maybe a couple of years after that. And my daughter said, well, why don't you do like DoorDash or something like that? And so I was doing it a little bit, and I decided one Christmas, we had done Christmas at my house, and I was like, I've got all this time, because the kids would have Christmas with me and then go to their dad and their Nana and Papa's house on their dad's side and be with that side of the family. And I decided, well, I was going to go do DoorDash. So I did DoorDash, and or I don't remember how it happened, but I think that was the first Christmas I had done Christmas outside, not on that day, because I remember going out and doing DoorDash early, because I figured there's not going to be that many people out there, so I can make really good money. So I'm out there and I'm doing these DoorDashes, and I get to this one girl's house, and she's in a loft, and it's a closed-in building. You can get into the go to the front door, but you couldn't get into the building. And so I let her know I was there, and she was one of those, she was I think a college student, and she had worked a whole lot, and she needed Red Bull so that she could drive to her parents' home for Christmas the day of, and she fell asleep again. So I'm waiting on her, because I don't want to leave it on the outside. And so because of the area it was in, it was one of those areas to where there was a lot of good things, but then there was some, just some suspectable elements that might walk through. So anyway, I'm waiting on her, and this other girl comes out to smoke, and she's talking to me, and she's real friendly, and she says, what are you doing DoorDash on Christmas? And it was a time when the Lord had been working with me about being authentic and honest about my situation, because normally I would just pretend like, I was still in the same place and not in need. And so I just told her, I said, I'm a cancer survivor. I've not been able to work as much as I used to. So I figured, just told her my story. I figured I could make a lot of money today. And she said, oh, wow, I am so sorry. And she said, oh my gosh. And, she said, I'm just going to pray for you. And she worked as a bartender. And she went inside. She said, hold on. So what she did, she took the girls' stuff and put it on the inside of the door. So we left a message. And when she woke up, she would know where it was. And I know she had fallen asleep because when she woke up, she told me, oh my gosh, I fell asleep waiting on the order. And so, but this other girl went inside. She said, don't go anywhere. Came back, handed me some money. I didn't look at it. I opened it up. She gave me $200. And even though Christmas was over, and I'd been able to scrape out enough, we know that after Christmas, you still got bills to pay. I had a house and everything. I needed to pay bills. And so that really helped me out a lot. That was a blessing. And then each year, when I no longer had a house, I had to move in with my mom. And so my mom's house is small. And so in order to have family, because I would host family every Thanksgiving and Christmas, and I would do it. Sometimes my sister would alternate when she was in Waco, but we would alternate the holidays. But most of the time I would do both of them ever since I was pregnant with my first child, Jordan, and Jordan is 31. So what I did was I started renting out Airbnb so that my brother and his family and our family on my mom's side and my kids could come together. And we would cook there, and we would have it for a couple of nights and have our holidays there every Thanksgiving and every Christmas. And so we've been doing that. And that's been good. I mean, oh my gosh, that has saved me, because I felt like, as mom, and as the person who loves to host these things, it gave me some worth when I didn't feel worthy. I wasn't working as a event coordinator or, like doing weddings and stuff. And I wasn't managing, and I felt less than, and I really had to deal with that. And people would tell me, your worth is not in what you do. And that's not what it's about. It's what you do enables you to do who you are, and to be who you are more adequately. And I love to give, and I love to do other things. And without that steady income and enough income coming in, it totally knocked out what I was able to do. And that was not what I expected after my kids had left home. I was expecting this to be the time of my life that I could finally do for me after sacrificing for them. And my kids honored the sacrifice that me and their dad, who's now my ex-husband, we made. I mean, they graduated, they have really good paying jobs, and they're really able to do, so they didn't take advantage of it. And that's what makes it worthwhile. But to know that I now, after all that sacrifice, was even further back because of sickness, cancer, and the other stuff we were finding, and that was hard to deal with. That makes it hard, because then you have people who were saying, and I don't mean to be negative, but I do want to be honest, they acted like because I didn't have enough faith is why I was going through what I was going through. And guys, God has healed me of some amazing things in the past. So I do have faith. And the fact that this growth had been there since I was, since my early 30s, and we didn't find it till I was 45, and it's an invasive cancer. Okay, no, that is God. So the faith, because I didn't know what it was. I just know I didn't feel good, and I had other things wrong too. I mean, they were prepping me for 3 cancer battle, leukemia, ovarian cancer, and breast cancer. And it was by the grace of God and just a miracle I didn't have ovarian cancer or leukemia. So yes, I did have faith, and it showed. But because I had to walk through this thing and things were getting worse, people just didn't understand it. And it was, I was treated as if, with some people, that I was focusing on it too much, but yet it was affecting all of my life. Every day I'm in pain, and I still am, or have been in pain. The social ramifications of not having and not being able to be that blessing that I used to be at church and doing all the other stuff and being seen just messes with you, because a lot of times out of sight, out of mind, guys. And that's just the reality of it. So I was dealing with all of that, and I'm still dealing with that. Um, Now I feel more caged because it's 9 years out and Christmas is coming. My vehicle's been worked on. I'm grounded. All of December, I've been grounded, not been able to do hardly anything, not in my house, and not being able to work to make the money that I can make to get myself out of it. So there's a lot of emotional stuff that I'm going through. I love work. I love being able to do. And the jobs that I am able to do that are more easier on me, that are just my natural talent, I'm not able to get. There's always someone more qualified, or I think people, it scares them. I can do a lot. I just can't do a lot of like physical stuff. I can't do management type stuff to where I am 40, 50 hours a week, sometimes 60. Well, not even 40. 40 is too short of a week when you're managing usually, but it's 60 and 50 to 60 hours a week. And so, and the weddings too, just couldn't do that anymore because it just required a lot more than I could do. So anyway, so that's where I am, dealing with my worth, finding my worth in Christ, knowing that He has not forgotten me, that despite, despite where I am, He still loves me. He's not forgotten me. I'm going through a through season. The Bible, there's lots of scriptures that say, when you walk through the waters, when you walk through the fire, when you walk through the valley of the shadow of death. These are through seasons. My faith has not waned. If not anything, it's increased. And God has sustained me amazingly. But I want deliverance. I want the pain to end. I want to not just go to the doctor and they not find anything. I want it to show in my body. And but that's not been the case. I'm now, and then just constantly having to monitor the body, because I don't know what's going on and if something's taking a turn for the worse unless I pay attention, because I am what they go by when I go into the doctor's offices. These specialists, they're needing me to in detail tell them what's going on, because it saves your life. That's how we've been able to find all the things we've been able to find. And I'll do an episode where I go through all of that, because I'm about to do all the testing. I've been a year out of the game, and I've got alarming symptoms, and the pain has increased, and it feels like some of the areas, whatever grosser were, they may have grown even bigger because of just the pain. But I'm not speaking that. I'm just saying this is what I feel. And so, so I have to, even this Christmas, because the tests and stuff start in January. I have to get ready, because I don't know what we're going to find, and I need to be able to stand and to not allow depression to get in. So I have developed a way to do this. Without realizing it, I've become numb emotionally. I don't feel things too high. I don't feel things too low. Too high is too far of a fall. And it's unrealistic in situations like me. We don't know how long it's going to be, and we don't know what we're going to go through before it's over. And then the too low will put you in depression. And then being in this world too, you have to deal with the reality that people die. There are people that I have met in doctors' offices that are no longer there. There are people that have gone through the exact same diagnosis of cancer that I had that's no longer there. There are friends of mine who didn't even know they had cancer, who went to the doctor and it was all over their bodies, and they're no longer here. I think I said here. I hope I didn't say no longer there in the other times, but no longer here. People die all the time, and that's a hard reality. There were a couple of people who were tuning into the page that are no longer here. And so when you're dealing with that on a regular basis, you have to work at it to stay even and to trust. And one of the things that have helped me, there's three things lately that have helped me. The book of Ecclesiastes has really helped me. You all, it's helped me a lot. And so I'm going to write a thing out about the probably 10 to 15 things I've learned in my situation as a survivor, cancer survivor, who's still dealing with stuff. What I have learned from Ecclesiastes that has given me so much peace. And it was one of the books that I read to help me get through the anger that I was going through. And the book of Joshua. A friend of mine was reading, and I just went through the book of Joshua. And oh man, the things that God spoke to me through the book of Joshua is just, I've got pages of it, and it's really encouraged me. And guys, I'm memorizing Psalms 37. Psalms 37 is a really good book because it's got a lot of promises in there to hold on to, and it's long. And I've been wanting to memorize this for a long time, but because it's such a long chapter, I haven't. But I'm doing it now. So anyway, so that's where I am. That's where I am this Christmas, trying to stay together. Not able to have a Christmas financially this Christmas. Car is out of commission. Kind of in between on the car situation. I'll go into more detail about that, how the Lord has really blessed, even in the car situations. But yeah, so yeah, it's hard. There's grace for this, and so anyway, that's all. I didn't mean for this to be so long, but I had a lot to say. You all have a Merry Christmas. You have a Happy New Year. And don't forget the people around you who need to be encouraged. Bye.